We're good.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry. If Eric
Testing.
Bieniemy,
Wait. Do you want to give me a mic check?
mic check 1 2.
Mic check 1 2 3. This is the place to be.
Does it sound as good as it did before? Because for some reason
Oh
now I
yeah.
can't hear
Sorry.
it through here.
I was just doing a goof.
Oh, just a little goof. We're
Just
just
doing it. Sorry. Sometimes I just like to
do goofs.
inject this show with humor. Try to provide a sense of levity throughout the show.
Of course, we need that.
Did you just do it again?
Muting itself. Let's see.
Oh,
Hold on.
God.
Let's wait a minute. I had it on my desk.
You clicked that button on your mic, and I thought your whole apartment building was going to explode.
Did you hear a beep? Do you hear the beep?
No, I don't hear a beep.
Oh.
I was just goofs, just like maybe
Just
making
goofs.
some jokes and
Just having some goofs.
just trying to have a good time.
All right, I think we've surpassed the technical difficulties. There is no way this button can get hit right now. So if it turns on, I don't know what to tell you anymore.
Is there any solar activity near your building, or
There's solar activity everywhere.
do your neighbors perhaps mess around with EMPs?
That might be it.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of EMP.
I've been playing Cyberpunk a lot.
Yeah, how far are you?
I think I'm pretty decently far. I think I'm probably 60% of the way through the game.
Okay. I'm gonna have to ask you about that later.
It's glowing red, dude. Don't touch it. I think we probably should breeze through the Super Bowl. We're gonna have a week, right? Right. There's a week off between now and the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, actually, I guess I don't know. We can double check before we start the show. I'm guessing there's no Pro Bowl.
That would be there cannot be a Pro Bowl. That would be insane.
Right. Yeah, we still get 2 weeks though.
Okay. Because they have to do Super Bowl Media Week. That's right. You got to get on the row and whatever, all of the stuff that comes with all of the millions of journalism stories written by journalists about journalism for Journalism Sunday, which is the Super Bowl.
And then everybody's going to start hating one player who doesn't want to answer questions and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I think that what we've discovered is that there are certain ways that you can do that without making people angry. You just have to kind of be clever about it, right? So Marshawn Lynch, or you can be petty as an athlete, like Deshaun Watson following a bunch of weathermen from Chicago on Twitter. That's you just got to be kind of clever.
Yeah, for sure. Is Patty Mahomes ever going to lose a playoff game again?
I don't know, dude. I have no idea.
15 Super Bowls. The score of that game didn't end up being a blowout, but that was never close. The Bills defense just didn't stand a chance at all.
It was pretty boring. It was interesting for about 5-10 minutes in the middle there. The third quarter, it looked like the Bills were going to do some cool stuff, and they get an onside kick back, and that was kind of cool, and they're charging down the field, and then they start getting really mad at the Chiefs.
Yeah, Feliciano almost killed a guy coming in with the blindside block after the play. 5 penalties on that play.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct. Offense number 17. Unsportsmanlike conduct. Defense number 57. Personal foul. Offense number 73. Personal foul. Offense number 76. All penalties offset. 4th down.
Thank God for it, by the way, because I had over 59.5 that I got in the middle of the second quarter. And if it wasn't offsetting penalties, they would have been out of field goal range and I would have been screwed. But they hit the field goal and we're good. We got the over.
Do you have any big takeaways from this Bills Chiefs game? I really don't. I really don't have a whole lot of stuff to say about it.
He's the best ever. I know not resume wise, legacy wise yet, but he's the most talented quarterback to ever play. And before I left wiggle room there, I always kind of thought it. I think a lot of us did. And it's not even that he was otherworldly in this game, but just the ability to do the things he does so consistently every single game. He already has more conference championships than the guy they compare him to in Aaron Rodgers. He's doubled them up already. And now he gets to go and really have that what we never got in the NBA. He gets to have that Jordan versus LeBron moment. He gets to take on Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. And it's going to go on forever, whatever way it goes. Because if Patty Mahomes wins, we've been here, but officially welcome to the new age. If Tom Brady wins, it's a little noogie to the top of the head and a little run along, son. I'm still here. Which we get to talk about Tom Brady here in a minute, which I'm excited to do. But Patty Mahomes is the most talented quarterback to ever play the position, maybe the best at a single position of any of the 4 major team sports I've ever seen.
So you think he's better at quarterback than LeBron is at basketball?
Why I said maybe. Okay.
Okay.
Why I said maybe.
It's crazy that we're already there with him. He's like 25, 26.
I saw a tweet today, and it's so true. He's had Aaron Rodgers' entire career in 2 seasons.
It kind of sucks because when the Patriots started getting bad, you were kind of like, oh, this now might get the AFC might be more interesting, and nope, it's going to be actually more boring than it was before.
Yeah.
The lesson, as always, we are not allowed to ever have nice things anymore, and we're in a perpetual downward spiral that seems to have no bottom.
At least, right? With their run, every single playoff game you felt like they could lose.
Sure.
We had 15 years of them not winning every year. With this Chiefs team, the second they score 1 touchdown, and I don't think it's just us at home. I think it's the opposing team. They're like, we're never going to stop these guys.
Yeah.
We're going to drive down the field every single time and score.
And they basically can't. You have to get a touchdown every time.
Yeah.
You have to run all 4. You play the Chiefs, you have to play all 4 downs the whole game.
Yeah, like if the Bills want to be able to keep up with the Chiefs offense, you know what they have to do this offseason? Pretty sure it's not possible. They have to add Kenny Galladay. They have to have Stephon Diggs and Kenny Galladay.
They probably need a new running back too.
A little bit better at running back, yeah. Josh Allen wasn't horrible, but he was disappointing, I think, in this game. Yeah. It was one of those games where the numbers look fine at the end, but when they needed a big play, when they needed a big throw, he just was missing, or he was holding onto the ball forever.
Yeah.
Forever. There was like 3 sacks in this game where he's just going further and further back, and then there's even 2 more that he just got to throw away. But
I'd like to officially be the first person to ask the question: does the Chiefs defense not get enough credit? And it's important that I point out that I'm first because there are going to be many, many imitators in the next coming 2 weeks that say that. But I just want to say that I am the first person to wonder if the Chiefs defense does not get enough credit.
Nobody's scored 30 points on the Chiefs since the Raiders did on November 22nd. We're going into February. We are 2 months since somebody has scored 30 points on this team. I think that's a good point. I think that's fair.
That's going to be a big Super Bowl Media Week story.
How many
teams coming
this game who have hired a head coach in the last 2 weeks, and we're like, damn, we should have waited. We should have waited for Eric Bieniemy.
So, do you want to talk about Eric Bieniemy right now? Is this what do you want to spend some time on this?
For sure.
It sounds like the Eric Bieniemy stuff is, and this is the best that I got from like really looking, is related to some off the field stuff
from 15 years ago, right? I can't even remember what it was.
Maybe there's something else that we don't know about, but to me,
if it's related to off the field stuff, it's not related to off the field stuff. It's related to on his skin color stuff, if that's the case. All right. Yeah, what else? Where are we? I'm frazzled.
So let's finish up talking about Bills Bucks.
Bills Bucks?
Let's finish talking about Bills Chiefs.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to talk about this a little bit more, but nobody's stopping the Chiefs. They're too good. I mean, they have 2 guys who can go for 200 yards any given game and do like a lot of the games. Travis Kelce is maybe the best tight end I've ever seen. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback I've ever seen. And I feel like I've had to do this a lot this year with sports, is just talking these big terms of greatest and all time. And it's just because we're there. We have that going on in our sports. We're seeing perhaps the greatest baseball player ever in Mike Trout. At worst, the second greatest basketball player ever in LeBron James. Perhaps the greatest quarterback / football player ever in Patty Mahomes. Not to mention on the other side of things, the GOAT of football, Tom Brady. Like, that's where we are. We have the most talent we've ever had. And we've talked about this exact thing before on the show. If Patty Mahomes has 15 more years in him, What is the number of Super Bowls he has to win for it not to be disappointing?
4.
Yeah, and I agree.
Maybe 5.
We were both at 2 when the season started. We said 2, maybe 3. 4, like if he wins only 3, that's going to be a disappointment, which is the craziest expectations I've ever heard. That's crazier than LeBron expectations.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not.
And I totally like. I don't feel like I'm putting anything on him either when I say that.
No.
Like,
And
it seems totally easily conceivable.
Any other athlete in the world in their 4th year and only 3rd year start, and you start throwing around terms like the greatest of all time, everybody freaks out. With Patty Mahomes, everybody just goes, I don't know how I'm going to argue with you. Like, because you can't. You just can't do it.
I think some of what we're experiencing is what happens when like the most talented player of all time doesn't have to wade through years and years of front office mismanagement the way that typically, because bad teams are typically drafting early, LeBron had to really deal with some bad teams and some bad GM situations and bad ownership moves for the first. What?
Stop talking about my boss.
Oh, sorry. Fuck your boss. Please don't hurt me, Dan Gilbert. Jordan had to deal with some of that, not as much, but Mahomes came into it with a great coach, a great GM, a pretty good defense, a good quarterback to teach him first year, one of the best wide receivers in football, the greatest tight end of all time. Like, they're going to pick a running back in the first round because they can. Like, everything is very seamless, highway driving for Patty Mahomes.
Going up, not down.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Getting better and better, and it's not getting worse. It's not going to be worse next year. And that could be a bottom 6 or 7 defense in the league, and they might still win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it won't matter. I mean, they're so good on offense, they'll be league average on defense probably no matter what. Right.
It's time of possession. Just the other team down on themselves. I mean, you can see how much it demoralizes a team. The Bills were up 9-0 today in the first quarter. At no point did they feel comfortable or even close to it. At no point were they like, okay, we're here. The whole time you could see it on them that they knew the Chiefs were going to be right back in that game.
Yeah.
9-0 lead on the Chiefs in the first quarter is about as good as a tie game.
It's really weird.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. So let's move on to the Bucks Packs, because I feel like that's the only path we can go when talking about Patty Mahomes in the playoffs. So, give me your take on this game, because
maybe the most fun game I've watched all year. It's certainly top 2 or 3. I really, really loved all of it from start to finish. I think both teams were really, really good. I think we definitely saw the best 4 teams in football today. I think that's an important distinction to make. But the Buccaneers on defense were really, they really got to the quarterback, which is what they did last time when they played, and they whooped them. So I'm surprised that it seemed so easy for them. I'm surprised that it just seemed like kind of the Bucks were there getting home the whole game.
Yeah. So so when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, I think that's, shockingly enough, I think that might be the reason why it felt so easy. He had 4 chances at the end of that game. Tom Brady threw 3 interceptions. He had 4 chances at the end of that game to make a big play. Do the Aaron Rodgers thing. Coming down to the wire, just make a throw nobody else on the planet can make. And he didn't do it. He didn't even come close. And he's been in 5 NFC championships since he went to the Super Bowl, and he's lost all 5 of them. And honestly, very rarely, if any of those games, have at one point in those games you've been like, oh, the Packers are winning this. I mean, he got torched by Colin Kaepernick in an NFC title game, which, of course, was one of the best performances I've ever seen. But nonetheless, this is supposed to be, pre-Patty Mahomes, the greatest quarterback talent-wise to ever live. Mm-hmm. And I just think he kind of, I don't want to say choked, because he's Aaron Rodgers. He was good. He's not scared of the moment. The pressure didn't get to him. But he just couldn't get it done. And then after the game, did you see his comments after the game?
Tell me what you're talking about. I saw some stuff, but
he basically came out and said, I don't really think anybody here knows their future for next year, including
Yeah. So we should probably back up and also mention you have the best red zone offense in the history of the NFL, and you take a field goal and 4th down in the red zone. and that's probably gonna haunt Mike LaFleur the rest of his career, I'd imagine. Aaron Rodgers has the chance probably to run it in a straight line in the end zone on third down on that drive and doesn't.
Or at least like get it to the 3 or the 2.
Get real close.
Like,
yeah.
That drive blew my mind. Them kicking that field goal. You're going up against Tom Brady and maybe for sure a top 5 offense in the league.
Yeah.
Not put that on your defense when you have Aaron Rodgers. Don't do it.
I think Mike LaFleur's a really good head coach. I think he's a really young head coach, and I think that we're seeing a lot of these under 40, under 35 guys get head coaching jobs, first-time head coaches in their first or second year, and I think that this is sort of the price that you pay for some of that. That's the monkey paw aspect of it.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though, and I'm sure you agree with this. You can't pay that price when 36, 37-year-old Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback.
For sure.
You can't do it.
Yep.
And also, I am baffled that we didn't see Aaron Rodgers going nuts on the sideline when that field goal was called.
Yeah, me too.
I can't believe he let them do that. I'm surprised he didn't just stay out on the field and stick his middle finger up and say, "Go ahead, carry me off this field because I'm going for this." I mean, it's the matchup we've all been waiting for a decade. It's Brady versus Rodgers. It's the playoffs. And he doesn't get a chance on fourth down on like the 6-yard line to have his moment. It's horrible coaching. Just like McDermott in the Bills game. Just bad coaching.
We saw two young head coaches get torched for not being aggressive enough.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of, I thought, was the coaching theme of today. Got to go forward on fourth down now. I don't know if I think that was true in 1987 or whatever, but the way that football is played now, the way that it's an offense-first league, makes me think that you probably have to always be thinking about that now. I think that will continue. We'll see less fourth down punts, not more.
Yes, for sure.
Just to keep up, you know?
Yeah, you got to stop punting on the 40-yard line. You're more likely going to hit it into the end zone, and that 20 yards just isn't worth it. If it's 4th and 15, sure. Stop punting on the 40-yard line. Otherwise, just it's such a waste of time. What do we even say about Tom Brady at this point? What is there left to say about Tom Brady? 10th Super Bowl appearance. He's 43. Dude was out there outside of like 3 really bad throws. Dude was out there throwing dimes all day, especially in the first half, but dimes.
He's Darwin's dream. We have to like isolate his children and like run genetic tests on them to make sure that they hit their full potential, because this could like launch the human race forward in evolution. He's ridiculous. I don't understand it.
Yeah, and it's the most amazing part about it might be that the first 3 weeks of every season for the last 6 years, his teams come out and just aren't that good, right? They do the thing where they hang around and they might even start 2-1, but everybody's like, yeah, okay, that's it. It's over. We finally hit the point where they can't do it anymore. It was with the Patriots. Even this Bucs team wasn't very good to start the season, at least for where expectations across the country were at. And then by the time the playoffs come around, he's Tom Brady.
The Seahawks, the Legion of Boom Seahawks were like that too. They were a second half of the season team.
And now they've flipped that. They do the opposite now.
You know who else is like that? LeBron is like that.
Mm-hmm.
Kawhi is like that. I think that's just when you're talented enough and you know that the second it's going to be the long part of the season for you. I think that there's be said for elite athletes feel like they can make that happen for themselves. Taking the first 4 games.
At least it like kind of makes sense in the other sports, right? For guys to be able to do it for a long time by doing things like chilling out the first half of the season. We actually, I think, just hit the point with LeBron where he turned it on after that loss to the Warriors. He got pissed, and you've been able to see it the last 2 games. But with Brady, it doesn't make sense. The average career in the NFL is like less than 3 years. The dude is 43 years old. Guys aren't taking it light because his bones might turn into dust when they hit him. Obviously, you can't hit Tom Brady as hard as you can hit most people, but like guys aren't just when they hit Tom Brady, they're not just like shoving him down real light. They're hitting him.
You're barely allowed to hit Tom Brady anymore.
He's been injured once, one serious injury in his entire career. That was a decade ago. And he's still doing. I mean, he just beat Aaron Rodgers. This wasn't a cupcake walk. He just beat Aaron Rodgers in the NFC title game. He's going to another 10 Super Bowls. For reference, for the people at home, the Lions could make the next 9 Super Bowls and still not have been to as many as Tom Brady.
I don't think you needed to do that. But I think it does move us very nicely into the meat part of this show. I don't want to spend too long. I want to talk about like the very important national news stories that are happening as relates to Detroit sports. We've got a couple 3-4 things to cover here. So we're gonna probably leave a little bit of meat in the bone, especially probably with Stafford, because we don't know. There's gonna be an end to this, and that'll be another opportunity to talk more about it. So let's start here. Let's start chronologically. Did you enjoy the hirings, the head coach and the GM hirings, just the hirings by themselves?
Yes, I like Brad Holmes more than I like Dan Campbell, but I still like Dan Campbell. What I love about Brad Holmes is he's an analytical guy. And one of the first things he said in his interview was, "This is no egos." And I think that was intentional because it's not been made public, but it sure sounds a lot like there was some egos with Patricia and with Quinn and with they're going to get their guy, right? Like I saw an interview on Twitter from Quinn, like when he first got hired, about asking players for input on draft prospects. And he basically said, yeah, if they want to call me, they can. But, when it comes down to it, I'm going to make the best decision for the Detroit Lions. Sure. Cool. Whatever. But I think that this is a staff that's being built with checks and balances. There's Brad Holmes, then there's John Dorsey, and then there's Spielman. And then with Dan Campbell, you have a guy who just finished a head coaching job as his OC in Anthony Lynn. I think what Sheila Ford Hamp wanted to do here was build a staff that could all look at each other and tell them, hey, you're acting like a fucking idiot. And I think that they've accomplished that from what we know about these guys. Obviously, the front office guys outside of Dorsey, we just don't know as much about their personalities and how they're going to interact. But from what we read and what we can see in these first week or so, it seems like that's what they're trying to build. Do you agree with me on that?
I definitely agree that all of the hires were made with, I think, a certain kind of culture in mind. And I think that kind of starts with Chris Spielman. One of the things that they talked a lot about when they hired Holmes was bringing the system and style of front office that the Rams use over here. So there's like a lot of delineation of power. There's like another guy who takes a pretty good chunk of the GM duties as far as like travel and stuff like that. They put somebody else on the team to deal with certain things so that his job is basically scouting. Like he's the scout plus, basically. He's King Scout. And I like what they're doing. One thing I do think is that Sheila Ford Hamp opened the checkbook pretty nice because they're bringing in a lot of big name guys and they have a lot of extra bodies floating around too. And whether there's going to be maybe too many cooks in that kitchen, whether like Rod Wood to me doesn't strike me as a guy who knows a ton about football.
He doesn't. He said that in his introductory press conference. He's not a football guy. He's there for business.
And that's good. That's good. I'm glad he's there for that.
At this point, it's good now. It was not good before.
I think that the GM hire is huge. He was one of the number one guys. He's a super hard worker. You can hear him when he talks. He's intelligent. He's got ideas. I think that they coming into place with a plan. I think that they're gonna hopefully execute on that plan. I'm not super bought in, but I'm a little bought in.
You can't be super.
Yeah, you can't be.
You can't be. We're Lions fans. It'll find a way. What I do like a lot, I like the Ray Agnew hire as assistant GM. Was the director of pro personnel for the Rams. Was actually ranked higher above Brad Holmes in the Rams front office than obviously Brad Holmes was. And then I also like bringing in Aaron Glenn as the D coordinator. Still going to be a lot of man, but going to be more one gap on defense. They're going to try to get to the quarterback. And he's also from the Bill Parcells coaching tree.
They all are.
Yeah, right. It's kind of the mighty oak of the football coaching trees.
The great Deku tree of coaching.
Yes, 100%. And I would rather have the risk of having too many cooks in the kitchen than the risk of having Bob Quinn as my GM and nobody knows what the hell is going on.
It definitely seemed like Sheila Fordham was excited in a way she couldn't contain for the picks. I know that my feel is that she thinks that she got the best two people available. I think that kind of just comes out of her in the press conferences. Both Dan Campbell and Brett Holmes dodged the Matt Stafford question, which they were both asked. And the way that they dodged it, and we know this now, made me think that they knew coming in that Stafford wasn't coming back. And we know now that when they were hired, they kind of were told, you're probably not going to have Matt Stafford.
I don't even want to talk about this. Like, I know we have to, but like, I don't want to. I guess let me start it with this. I actually tweeted this out, but I want to vocalize it. Prior to number 9 coming to the Detroit Lions, I liked football. I could watch a game. He got here, and I fell in love with football. And every Sunday through football seasons for the last decade plus, I've turned on my TV at 105 on Sunday and been looking forward for the Lions to be down by 6 with 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter so Matthew Stafford could turn on the Jets, make an awesome throw, and get a comeback win. Now, did he win a playoff game? No, he should have, but he didn't. Okay, the Dallas game happened, whatever. Did he win a Super Bowl? Obviously not. We're the Lions. But that guy, just think about this one instance and think about having this as the leader of your team for 10 years. Week 17 of this season, he was hurt in 8 different ways. His team was out of the playoffs. There's an interim head coach. There's no GM. He probably at the time knew he wasn't coming back. And he got out there and played for no reason other than he's a tough son of a bitch. And he fit this city perfectly, personality-wise. I'm super sad about it. It's the right decision. It was time. And I don't know how to handle my emotions for it.
When I called you when I got the news, when I read it, and then you were, I don't know, probably sitting at your desk. It sounded like getting ready for work. And I had to hang up because I thought that you were about to cry on the phone, and I did not want to hear you cry over the phone.
I was thinking about it. Like, dude, I love that guy. Like that guy, I don't even know how to explain it. I have watched that dude give his all, and I know sports are the silly thing that we all do. But when you invest as much time into it as you or I do, and there's somebody like Stafford who has been a part of your life for over 10 years, they start to feel like family and friends. And just knowing that guy's not going to have that Honolulu blue uniform on is in a way exciting because I think he's going to go to a team that's damn good and they're going to compete for a playoff spot and possibly a Super Bowl. But it's also just heart-wrenching. And I can't wait until he's on whatever team he goes to and they are my second favorite team. And perhaps just maybe my favorite team. Like it's gonna be cool. Like it's cool and sad. It's sad he's gone. I also, for the first time in like my diehard football fandom, get excited about a rookie quarterback. I was excited about Stafford, but I didn't care enough to like watch hours of film. I mean, you and I both spent 2 hours of our last 24 hours watching every throw from Zach Wilson. I don't think I'm sold. I think you're sold.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. But like, I get to do that. I get to get excited about the future instead of just hoping this thing we've been trying over and over again works. So silver linings, I'm going to find them. I'm going to be okay. I promise. Don't worry about me. But I am Sadford for sure.
So this actually ties in very nicely. I'm going to put a nice bow on this. The team that they've assembled and what feels like the culture that they're going to try to build is it's going to be called bite your kneecap culture now or whatever. But it's going to be tough culture. It's going to be violent, as Dan Campbell loves to say. He loves to say that things are violent. And that makes sense. Like he was a tight end for that 0-16 Lions team. Like he probably was a pretty violent player. So I think that what's happening with Stafford is the timing is good. We're going to get something good for him. We're going to take in some young players. We've got some really high-end guys scouting. That's why you bring John Dorsey in. You bring John Dorsey in to scout players, to develop talent, or help identify talent. And Dan Campbell's gonna set the tone of insane competitiveness of practice. So I see all of the levels, and I see like a cohesive vision, which I don't think I always saw with the Quinn Trisha era. It was it was like deliberately kind of mystifying behind the veil. It's a little great and powerful Oz.
They wanted to be the Patriots, They wanted to be Bill Belichick.
Did you see Patricia is back on staff with the Patriots?
They're gonna shove him up in the coach's box and tell him to shut up. Like that.
He's gonna be like the DB coach.
I hate that guy. I hate him so much.
Come on.
No, I hate him. I hate him. I hate him with every fiber of my being. Because I know for a fact, not a fact, but I know that he sits there every night in his bed with his book on his belly, right? I assume he's a guy who reads before bed. Book on his belly. And he's thinking to himself, the Lions. If I was at a better organization, I would already have a Super Bowl by now. And he blames the players for his defense being ass. And I just know that's how it works with him. And I hate him. And I'm so happy he's going to go and get torn up by Bill Belichick every single week.
I like to imagine that Matt Patricia wears one of those sleeping caps while he's reading in bed. And he takes it off and very gently folds it up. And he puts it to the side. And he says, it is time for sleep
he goes
mode.
to kiss his wife.
Okay. There's definitely like a smugness to Patricia that like any breakup where you want to take the low road, you're totally fine just being like, man, that guy fucking sucks.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I
will talk shit about that guy for the rest of my life. Does him being back with the Patriots take them out of the running for Stafford? I just thought about this.
It might. I mean, now we know posthumously that they did not get along. There's kind of like a weird Matt Stafford diva thing floating around that I've never really understood, like what its origins were.
Who's floating that around?
It's just like a thing you see, like, you know how it is. If you go under like a Schefter, like a status, it'll be like a bunch of guys yelling ratio at each other, and then like a Stephen A. Smith burn or whatever, and then you'll find like maybe a few people who don't know any better voicing opinions, and those opinions, there's always like a weird like Stafford, that guy's a drama queen. You don't want that guy. He's not a winner.
They can kiss my butt.
I'm shocked by that, and like whatever, like if whoever gets them, they're gonna be very, very, very pleased with the product that they get.
Here's what they need to do with the process of this trade, by the way. They need to let Deshaun Watson get traded first. Because the Texans are going to get a king's ransom for Deshaun Watson, and you need to let the market be set. You need the Jets to give up 90 picks for him so you can get 45 picks for Matt Stafford.
It's kind of the Paul George, Anthony Davis thing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with you. You kind of sent me that, and I was like, why? But it does make sense when you look into what Watson's price is going to be. It sounds like it's going to be 2 first-round picks at least. It sounds like it's going to be 2 first-round picks and a player. So
I saw this one trade offer. We got time. Might as well get into it. I saw this one trade offer on Bleacher Report that was Darnold and the number 2 pick for Stafford.
Wow, that's a little delusional. I think
the other ones were so realistic that it almost made me feel like that was realistic.
So, we could talk a little more seriously about this. Where do you think? What do you want for Stafford? What's the price? What's your minimum going price?
First round pick.
Any first round pick?
Yeah, I mean mid-season. I like when we were talking about it realistically. I told you I would have accepted a 3rd-round pick for him when he was going through his rough spell. The only reason I think it's worth a first-round pick now is because the market is going to be insane. Yeah. There's so many teams that are right there, and Stafford puts them over the top.
So the Colts call you, and they say 21 or whatever is yours. You're just like, great, hang up the phone, deal's done, move on?
I would actually counter with, how about 21 and Taylor for Swift and Stafford? But then if they said no, which they would, I would accept it and hang up the phone.
Okay. I actually think Swift might, in the long game, end up as good a running back in a few years. But
Just a fun idea. I've liked Jonathan Taylor more since pre-draft, so it's
the teams most active, who you and I think are agreed are good fits for Stafford, and I think everybody else too thinks this, are the Patriots, the 49ers, and the Colts. 3 teams who are a quarterback away from being a championship level team.
Yes.
So if they call you and they say, "Here's our first round pick," you're just good with that?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, how much more can you expect? I mean, I guess it'll depend on what they get for Deshaun Watson. If they end up getting 3 first-round picks, then I might want a first and a second. I think realistically, you can get a first and a third. But if it came down to it, where the best offer on the table is a first-round pick, I'm totally fine with that. You only have 5 picks. You need to add a first round.
So let me float you something I haven't seen from the twisted mind of Ryan Reynolds. J.J. Watt, a second and a third-round pick, and a third-round pick next year.
I don't want J.J. Watt.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I'd rather have 2 seconds and 2 thirds than J.J. Watt, a second and a third.
Oh, dude, you don't want to see what, like, the Dan Campbell, J.J. Watt, high testosterone, crazy person, like...
Oh, really, man. I mean, what are you going to get, a year out of J.J. Watt?
I think you get 2 years with his contract.
I'm good. I'm okay. And there's 32 games over 2 years. He's not going to play in 23 of them.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly the case. But if your goal is to set culture, I think that getting 3 picks and J.J. Watt is a good place to start. Because I agree with you. The number one thing that we need to be looking for here is probably 2 picks. So if the Broncos come calling at 9 and they say, we'll give you a 9 for Stafford, and the Colts are willing to throw in a third-round pick to go with 21, I think I'd have a hard time making that choice.
God, for that, I would be like, you got to wait till draft night, because I need to know if I can get Fields at 7. If I can get Fields at 7, I'm trading him for 9 and taking Micah Parsons.
Right.
So yeah. it might end up being a draft night trade. That might be what this ends up turning into. But I really don't have the patience or the openness in my heart to wait 4 more months to figure out what's going to happen.
Well, the draft is less than 100 days away. It's like 95 days away or something. Oh. Yeah.
It did it again, so I tried to unplug it. It's what, early May?
It's not. I saw 100 days till the draft tweet like 4 days ago or something. My brain is pulling. So I'm looking. So the Lions are picking at 7. And the problem I see is I just don't see a world where Fields drops to 7 for them. The Jaguar, what?
Every mock draft out right now is having Fields us or 8.
I don't see how the Jets, the Falcons, and the Eagles all pass on a quarterback.
They don't. I think Wilson's the number 2 quarterback off the board. I think teams are going to fall in love with Wilson.
Really?
Yes.
You think Zach Wilson's going to be the number 2 quarterback off the board?
Yes.
What are you basing that on? Have you seen something that indicates that? Oh, man.
Most of the mock drafts right now have Lance in front of Fields. Do I get it? No. But I've seen probably 50% of mock drafts right now have Fields as the 4th quarterback off the board.
So I was under the impression that like we are going to probably be pretty locked in to Zach Wilson at 7.
Right? So we got Lawrence 1, Wilson 2, Jamar Chase 3, Trey Lance 4.
Trey Lance at 4?
Justin Fields at 7. Now let's go back. Pro Football Network. I don't know how reliable Pro Football Network is. I don't think I read them. Lawrence, Fields goes 2s here. Devontae Smith, another guy who I wouldn't be mad if we got him. If we wait a year to draft a quarterback, I'm not going to be furious about it.
Maybe.
Zach Wilson. So, I mean, I think it's gonna be obviously it's gonna be one of those 2 guys. Would I be comfortable taking Zach Wilson at 7? Yeah, sure. But I think what I would rather do would be go the defensive route, start building the defense so we can have something in place for when we get our quarterback. Push quarterback back a year, take Micah Parsons if he's still there. If Micah Parsons isn't there, take Zach Wilson. But if he's still there, take Micah Parsons. and start building the team outside of the quarterback. So that way, by the time your quarterback's ready to compete, your team is ready to compete. Do you get what I'm saying?
So then what are you doing at the quarterback position if that's your plan?
Bridge the gap guy. I think you brought up Tyrod Taylor yesterday. That, he's the perfect guy for that. You really want to freaking tank, just to have Chase Daniels be your quarterback. Cam available. There's plenty of guys. There's 15 quarterbacks on the market.
Shades of Dante Culpepper's worst year with Cam Newton. I don't know, man. I think I would hate watching that.
Yeah, we're gonna hate next year anyways. No matter what we do, we're gonna hate next year. It's gonna suck. Team's gonna be bad. I don't think Kenny's gonna be here.
Yeah, I think that Stafford leaving unless we franchise tag him.
Yeah, I just don't know if I don't want to pay a receiver that much at this point of a rebuild. At this point of a rebuilding process.
Well, it might not be. Actually, it might be not bad in that you got to spend your money somewhere. You might as well give your young quarterback something to throw to.
That's true. I mean,
if you lose Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay in the same year, that's bad.
Yeah, so I think in the world where you lose Kenny Golladay, you bring Marv back, especially if you're drafting a quarterback, because you got to have somebody. You got to have somebody there. But I mean, there's a couple worlds. There's two worlds where we don't go quarterback. There's a world we go Micah Parsons, and there's a world we go Devonta Smith. So, and I'm not against going with Smith. That dude is a stud, an absolute stud. Sometimes with receivers, you can just tell by their strides. That dude runs like Julio Jones. That dude runs.
I think the Dolphins are going to end up with him, and it's going to be kick-ass. Yeah. Unfortunately, I regret to inform you it's going to be awesome.
No, I think you're 100% right on that. And they'd be dumb not to take him. Give me like 3 more Stafford trade packages. Let's talk them over.
So the team that I find interesting that it seems like maybe some of the beat writers are kind of trying to heavily imply that this team is in play is the Denver Broncos, which would involve taking the 9th pick, or something. I would almost in a lot of ways be good taking the 2nd and 3rd and 4th and then another 2nd and another 3rd or something, but more realistically, it would be the 1st pick and the 9th pick, their 1st round pick. So if that's the situation, can you package 7 and 9 together to move up to get your guy?
That's what I was just about to ask. If you know Fields is going at 2, you love Fields, you trade Stafford for 9. Are you willing to trade both 7 and 9 for 2? Because that's where it gets tough. I don't think I would.
I don't think
it's the right time. If your defense was in place, if this was next year, maybe. Right? You have the building blocks in place, you're rolling a little bit, you're liking Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, then maybe. But I think this year you'd be better off just going like Wilson, Micah Parsons, or Micah Parsons, Wilson, or Micah Parsons, Trey Lance even. I mean, you got options.
Who's the edge rusher? It's like Grissom, is that his name? Grissom? I can't remember. There's a edge rusher who's like going right around 10-2 who I think...
The part about defensive ends in this draft is that there's not a lot of them. So I think the guys going towards the top of the 1st round, their value is getting boosted by the fact that there's not a top-level D end. And that makes me worried a little bit.
Okay. What do you think of Zach Wilson? I like him.
I like him. I don't know if I love him. I think I like what you said about Baker Mayfield. It came, that was the first thought I had. I'm watching his footwork in the pocket. I'm like, who does that remind me of? There's one play I saw. It was like the first game of the season. Guy runs a slant over the middle, and he essentially has to like just step up. He leans all the way forward on his front foot and throws a 10-yard bullet, and it looked just like Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield throws those like real tight beans that like they just zing right in there. I imagine they hurt to catch, honestly.
Yeah, but the thing is, the Browns have a lot of talent, and it can kind of make up for Baker Mayfield not being a top 8 quarterback in the league.
Sure.
And if we're taking a guy in the top 10, I want him to be a top 10 quarterback in the league eventually. And I don't know that Baker is that, and I don't know that Zach Wilson will be that.
I think the case for Zach Wilson, there's three quarterbacks that I see in him, and it's Philip Rivers and it's Baker Mayfield. And maybe this is just the form that my grief is taking, but I see Matt Stafford in him too. I see him launching it from like weird sidearms and flipping the ball 10 yards, like doing weird stuff like that. And that's very Staffordy to me, the ability just to get the play, get 15 yards. Like, it doesn't matter how it gets done, but I need 15 yards right now. And I feel like Zach Wilson has like that ability. He's good when the play breaks down. He's really quick. If his arm was 20% stronger, he'd be a Josh Wilson comp. You know what I mean?
You really are having a rough time with names. It's Josh Allen, but
what did I say? Josh Wilson?
Yeah.
Who the fuck is? Oh man. So if we get 7-9, I'd rather take Zach Wilson and Micah Parsons, and that's his name, right? I feel like I have to check
Micah
that.
Parsons. Yeah, it's just a rough day for names. I mean, neither of us are good with names in general, but like,
yeah, I've gotten especially bad because I haven't had to learn any new names because everybody's name is on a screen.